to Iconic Talk. This is your community's podcast with conversations about real estate, local happenings, and all things Winchester, Virginia. I'm Mark Francis, a local realtor, broker, and owner at Icon Real Estate.
And I'm Megan Eanes, a local realtor and part of the Icon Real Estate team. Mark and I are so excited to share everything that we love about Winchester, Virginia with you. We want you to be an informed, savvy real estate consumer in today's ever-changing market.
Yep. If you want local knowledge, you've come to the right place. Well, welcome once again. I'm excited to see you once again this fine Thursday, and it's exciting to have another fun conversation.
That's right. We're back again, and we did both get a chance to go on vacation just recently.
Yeah.
Yep. So
get some time away.
Some time
You got
away.
some sun. I had some clouds, but it all worked out well.
I got too much sun. I now know what sun poisoning is.
Sun poisoning is a real thing.
Don't want that ever again.
Yeah.
But yes, wear your sunscreen and cover up when you're out. The sun's getting hot, and it's 86 degrees, I think, outside today. It's really, really warm.
And melanoma is real. So
yes.
Yeah, just
protect yourself.
Protect yourself. It's so funny because I've talked about my grandmother who lives with me now, and she's been dying waiting for the sun because she's from Florida and now lives with me and has gone through this entire winter. And I literally have been propping her up outside, and she rolls up her sleeves, rolls up her pants to
sun herself.
She's sunning herself. There is no protection at all. But when you're 91, I guess what does it matter?
Right.
And she's like, I didn't get any more brown today. I'm like, well, you're already pretty brown as it is from being in Florida for those 30 years that you lived there.
Right.
So yeah, she loved it. So she's excited about the weather.
I'm sure she's loving it.
Excited about the season. I'm trying to explain to her what apple blossom is. Mm-hmm. And, she's kind of understands it. But she's going to be blown away when she sees all the festivities.
That's right.
All the parades, the fireworks, you name it. It was so cool to have Brad Veach on a couple weeks ago to give us the rundown of what we're a week away, right? I mean, because the wine festival and that weekend of the 28th, 29th, 30th is coming up around the corner.
Yes, it is.
And then that whole week of festivities and all of the fun and traveling and drinking that happens as well. We're not at Mardi Gras level. And I didn't want to mention this to Brad. I didn't want to insult him. But, there is a little similarities of how Mardi Gras over the years has grown to have multiple different parades and the beads and the drinking and Bourbon Street and all that kind of stuff. We're not at that level.
No.
But
there is still plenty of drinking that happens in the area, and the bars are open later, and not they're open later, they're just open, and so many people come home, that have moved away, or college kids that are coming back for that weekend to be able to see their friends, and people are going out to the bars, people are drinking, people are having a great time,
or even a private party. You're going to a friend's house and you're across town, and there's stuff that happens,
or any of the Apple Blossom functions, like the country music dance and anything along those lines too.
The fun will be here. It will be here, but at the same time, you have to be safe.
Right.
You have to be responsible, and hopefully, people around town are responsible. That's why we have the good old cops and the police force just making sure that the streets are safe and that the roads are safe and all of that. Well, we have another solution for you.
We do.
Today, with our guest who is fairly new to town in the area, but had an amazing idea of there are not enough concierge level drivers and transportation services around here.
Right.
And you look at it, and I think he's right. I mean, there's some big ones in Northern Virginia, but not our area. And you think about Uber and Lyft that has kind of come to the area, and that's small time. We're talking concierge.
Right. The Uber and Lyft are just, get you a ride home whenever at that point in time. This is more just, kind of something planned out a little bit. And
so the season is here for it.
Yes, it definitely
Plan
is.
out your parties. Plan out where you're going to go, because listen to our chat with Dederick Brooks. I'll say this again. Dederick Brooks from Shenandoah Shores Management. And he created an amazing service where he's going to the next level to give people transportation.
Right.
And so he has a really cool story. We're going to get a chance to hear from Dederick. So here's our chat.
Yep.
Well, here we are with Dederick Brooks. How are you today?
I'm doing outstanding.
I'm so fired up that you're here with us because you got some really cool things to share that we've never really had on Iconic Talk before.
Right, we have not.
I'm excited about that as well. So, Dederick, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Winchester.
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Dederick Brooks. I'm originally from Lufkin, Texas, about 2 hours north of Houston.
Okay.
I am in Front Royal, but I come to Winchester a lot because I do a lot of business here. But what brought me here is that I retired from the military June of 2022. Started this business in February of 2022, but I actually got here in November of 2021.
Okay.
So I actually came up here because I had a boss back in 2010 when I was on recruiting duty for the military. And he was like, hey, I need you to come out here and come work for my company. He's the director of talent acquisition for this company out in Tyson's Corner. And he knew me to be a great recruiter. So he's like, hey, I really need somebody to come work for my team. Mm-hmm. So I did. I came out here in November of 2021, started working for this company in Tyson's Corner, traveling back and forth. And February of 2022, they were like, hey, thanks for your service, but you're not going to get this job.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, man, what do I do, right? So, us as Marines, we pivot, we adapt and overcome. Mm-hmm. So I had a whole bunch of ideas because basically, like I said, I was driving back and forth to Tyson's Corner. I kept seeing all these signs for wineries and breweries and distilleries and was like, man, somebody's got to be making a killing in the transportation industry. So I just stopped in one day and I asked, I was like, hey, how do people get here? How do people get around? They're like, we don't have Ubers and Lyft to come to these places because some of those wineries, I don't know if you know, they're like in some obscure areas.
Yes.
Yeah. So I basically was like, I went to another one and just kept asking the same questions. They were like, well, nobody's really doing it like that in this area. You can go to Tyson's Corner or Reston and stuff like that, but nobody was really doing it here to the mainstream of the way that it should be done.
Yeah.
So ding, light bulb moment came on, and I basically just leveraged all the things that I did in the military because I was a logistician, I was a supply administration Marine, and just kind of just put all those things together and just was like, all right, well, let's see what we can do. So I bought a house and then started running the business and kind of just went from there.
Yeah, I want to hear about the military.
Yeah. Okay.
So what got you started in that?
In the military. So let's see. 2001, there was a little event that happened. I don't know if y'all remember, but some things happened in 2001.
Yeah.
And that's not the reason why I joined. I was basically a high school student. I graduated high school in 2001 and started college in the fall of 2001, and immediately didn't like it. Like I hated school. I was a good student in high school, but just the college that I was going to, I just didn't really fit in well. And I have an older sister that joined the Air Force, and she was like, I'm getting deployed. So she was like, I need somebody to come take care of my daughter, my niece. So I was like, okay, I can do that. I didn't even withdraw from class. I just left. I just completely left. I didn't even withdraw, just took off. And I went to Bossier City, Louisiana to go take care of my niece for a little while. And then I was like, well, I probably should go back to school. So I went back to school in January of 2022. And I have a twin brother as well. And
really?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Identical twin.
Cool.
So he stayed there, and when I got back to school, he was like, hey, I just joined the Marine Corps. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, it's the military. And I was like, I'm not joining the military. You see what just happened, 6 months ago?
Right.
He's like, well, listen, man, your grades are crap because you left. You didn't withdraw. You just left from school. So your grades are not good.
Yeah.
I was about to have a baby at the time. Girl I was dating with on again, off again was, found out we were pregnant. And then, just wasn't really liking school. So I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. So I went back home to my hometown in Lufkin, Texas, sat down with my recruiter, Bill Banchini, I'll never forget his name, and was like, all right, let's do this. So I joined the military, the Marine Corps in February of 2022, went to boot camp in May of 2022, graduated around September timeframe. My daughter was born, and kind of just took off from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of skills, you mentioned a little bit of things that you did.
Yeah.
But what skills did you take out of the military that you're bringing to your world today?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my first 4 years, I was a warehouseman. So I basically worked in kind of like an Amazon type warehouse. But one of the things that specifically what I did is that I worked at the initial issuing provisioning, which is basically all the brand new stuff that was coming into theater into Iraq and Afghanistan. We would field all the brand new stuff and take all the old stuff, the retrograded stuff, and ship that back to the States. So we had, when I tell you, probably 1,800 of those Humvees, and this was during the time when the Humvees didn't come with the armor on them already. So we fielded all the 1,800 Humvees, and then all the parts would come in. We would take those to the engineers, they'd put them on, and then we'd drop them back to lot and then send them out to the forward observing bases. So that was my first 4 years. The second 4 years, I did a lateral move to supply and administration because, they promoted a little bit faster, and I was already doing that work anyway. In my very first duty station, I was an E5, a sergeant. And they put me in Fort Worth, Texas, at the recruiting command. And I was like, this is great because I'm from Texas, so I was like 3 hours from home, so it was great.
Yeah.
I did that for about 3 years as the supply administration clerk. Had a lot of success. I was actually named the Marine of the Year in 2000.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you, appreciate it. 2010, I was the Marine of the Year.
That's cool.
So, one of the things that you do in the military and in the Marine Corps is that you have to do what they call a B-billet. So either recruiter, drill instructor, Marine security guard, or combat instructor. And I was like, well, I'm in Texas. I'm already at the recruiting command. I already know a lot of people. I already know a little bit about recruiting. So let me just volunteer for recruiting duty. So I did. I volunteered for recruiting duty and did that for about 3 years. In 2011, I was actually the Western Recruiting Region Recruiter of the Year, which is, if you think about the United States, you got the Mississippi River. Everything west of the Mississippi River is the Western Recruiting Region, and everything east of the Mississippi River is the Eastern Recruiting Region.
Okay.
So I was the best recruiter, not only in the state of Texas, not only in the western side of the Western Recruiting Region. I was the best one there, and I competed for Recruiter of the Nation. They actually flew me out here to Quantico, Virginia, and subsequently I came in second. But it's still a good experience. It was a good experience.
Pretty good.
Well, that means you definitely have got some sales experience.
I got
you're a good recruiter.
Got a little bit of sales experience.
I'm seeing all the pieces come together of where you are today.
Right.
It's really cool. Working with vehicles, working with people, working with just, like you said, Megan, sales. There's a component of what that looks like.
And sales with the Marines. I mean,
that's a tough sell.
Yeah,
so with both
is.
of my boys having gone through basic training in the Air Force, I've watched lots of YouTube videos on all the different basic training videos, and the Marine Corps, hands down, no thank you.
It's tough. It's tough.
It looks like the hardest one out of all of them.
So I used to tell people all the time, it's more of a mental thing than it is physical, because the body will follow what the mind does. So if you can handle somebody screaming at your face and telling you what to do every single minute of the day, the Marine Corps, we break you down, but then we build you back up. So, that first month is usually the hardest time because people are trying to adjust to, not having their Xbox and not having their girlfriend or their mom or their dad around and things of that nature. So that's the hardest part. So once you get to that part and you get broken down, the Marine Corps does a very good job of building you back up into what they need you to be. So it was a hard thing, but it was one of those things to where it's been the bedrock of my foundation for the last 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Well, it also just shows that you've got to have a great work ethic.
Absolutely. Yes.
So walk me through then this whole Tyson's Corner experience of what you were doing there.
Okay.
And how that just didn't work out.
Yeah. So I was down in Albany, Georgia. That was my last duty station. And I had just left from recruiting duty the second time. So I recruited in Hartford, Connecticut, and I was the station commander, and I did that for about 2 years. But recruiting in Connecticut is completely different than recruiting in Texas, right?
Sure.
So people are a little bit more willing to have a conversation with you in Texas. In Connecticut, they're like, no, screw you. I'm going to college. I'm like, man, you have a 1.5 GPA. Like, how are you getting into UConn? Like, I don't see that happening.
Right.
But I did that for about 2 years as the station commander up there, and then I was like, okay, well, it's my time to go somewhere else. So I got promoted to E8, and I went down to Albany, Georgia, at the logistics command down there. So I was there for about a year and a half, and it was getting ready to be my time to retire. So I was like, okay, well, I need to find another career after the military, because I knew at 20 years I was getting out. Like, my time was over. So that's when my boss called me. Well, my old boss called me and was like, hey, I need you to come work with me. And I was basically working as a corporate recruiter for that company out in Tyson's Corner. And it was a little bit different because, getting people to join the military is one thing, right? It's still sales, but it's a little bit different.
Yep.
You have to know your product knowledge and things of that nature. So it took me a little bit of time to kind of figure out, what they were looking for as far as what they wanted to bring into their company. And, it was a good time. It was a good learning experience and everything like that. It's just one of those things where, it's a blessing in disguise that I didn't get that job, because it taught me a little bit about the Northern Virginia area and kind of what's going on in this area. But it also kind of let me know that that's probably not the path that I need to be on. I think I'm more of a self-starter and want to do something of my own.
Right.
Being in the military for 20 years and taking dictation from people.
You've already worked for the man.
Exactly.
It's time to go and do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I dipped my toes in a little entrepreneurship and just kind of was like, okay, well, let's just see how this goes. But while I was down in Albany, Georgia, I did finish my master's degree in human resources. So the human resources side, the logistics side, the supply and administration side, the physical side, and then I had multiple other jobs while I worked at the recruiting command in Springfield, Massachusetts. So all of those things, I just kind of honed all those acumen and just kind of put it all together and, formed my company and kind of went from there.
So let's talk about it. Shenandoah Shores Management Group.
Okay.
So it's a couple years ago now, right? Well,
13 months.
coming up on, a little over a year almost, right? So you just are like, I see the need. I like have kind of the drive to go make this happen.
Right.
And so how do you get started? What kickstarts this idea into actually where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, like I said, I was living in Front Royal, and I was looking for a storage building, and I couldn't find a storage building, so I had to go all the way to Amosville. So if you're on 211 and you come in through Amosville, there's a winery on the right called Grey Ghost. So I stopped in the Grey Ghost, and that's when I started asking those questions, and then was like, okay, well, if nobody's doing it like that, then let me just do it myself.
Right.
And it kind of just took off from there, and I had a whole bunch of ideas that I just kind of had a lot of time to think about. So basically, when I put all my stuff in storage, I went back to Georgia and signed my DD-214, which is your discharge paper. Came back to Virginia, put all my stuff from my storage there in my house that I just purchased, and then I went back to Texas to go see my family and everything for a little bit. So I drove there. I drove all the way to Georgia and back, drove all the way to Texas and back. So I had a lot of time to think.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah. Right.
A lot of time to think. So basically, I just kind of thought about, okay, so, I know that there's a need for it, right? There's got to be a need for it because there's so many of these places. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's 315 wineries in the state of Virginia. Just wineries.
And those just popped up pretty recently, too.
Yes.
I mean, this is like a fun, neat, new industry that over the last 20 years or so in Virginia,
Absolutely,
it is just booming.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, there's 300 plus wineries in the state of Virginia, and then you think about the distilleries, the breweries, the cideries, and meaderies. There's over 450 different, what I call, libation stations.
Right. Nice.
So
Nice.
it takes too long to say wineries, breweries, distilleries, cideries,
Libation
meaderies.
stations.
Libation stations.
I love it.
Right. So I just basically just kept going to some of these places and was just like, okay, well, there's got to be a need for it because, like I said, in Northern Virginia and then some of these areas out here, you can go to Northern Virginia, you can call a cab and call an Uber and you get one real quick. Here in the Shenandoah Valley area, not so much.
Right.
So in the town of Front Royal where I live, when I first moved here, there was 2 taxi companies. There's only 1 now. And then some of these other areas like Page County, Shenandoah County are underserviced and they don't have the public transportation. They don't have things like that. So I just was like, okay, well, I can do winery tours and brewery tours and stuff like that, but I can also do, because we have 2 major airports in Northern Virginia.
Nice.
BW or Dulles and Reagan Airport.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, well, if people need to go to the airport, who wants to get up dumb early in the morning and drive to the airport or have to rely on the cab or have to rely on a friend or a family member? So it was just like one of those things where, ding, another light bulb moment.
Or pay for the parking when you take your own car and leave it there because I just did it and it is not cheap.
Exactly. When you park, close to the airport, it's like $27, $28 a day. You multiply that by 7 days. Now you've got a pretty big bill. And then vandalism still happens at the airport. People get out, they ding your car, so on and so forth.
Right.
So just all of those things just kind of, like I said, when I drove to Texas and I drove to Georgia and back, I had a lot of time to think, a lot of time to talk to different family members and things of that nature. And it was just like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And I just jumped out on faith and just said, all right, well, it's one of those field of dream moments. You build it, they will come.
Yeah. So how do you build? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so did you just basically start with your car and you as the driver? Is that kind of where it began?
Yeah, kind of started to where I had a Cadillac CT4 at that particular time. It was a very nice car. It's a 4-door car, but it's kind of a smaller car. So I said, okay, well, what do I do? If I want to start an actual transportation company, let me get another car. So I ended up getting a Cadillac CT5, which is, kind of the same version of that car, just a little bit bigger. Quickly realized like having 2 cars probably doesn't make sense if I was trying to do all these things that I was thinking about. So I traded in the CT4 and got a Cadillac Escalade. Just one of those things where, I've got a bigger vehicle, I can take more people, so on and so forth. That went well because basically I started getting a lot of different jobs for winery tours and airport transportation because it's more than just 2 or 3 people going to the airport. So I had that for a little while. I had the 2 vehicles. I was rolling. And then I was like, I'm making so many trips to the airport because this was the wintertime at this particular point. Making so many trips to the airport. I'm putting so many miles on this car, so many miles on this Escalade. Let me just go ahead and just get a commuter car, a car that goes back and forth to the airport. So I ended up purchasing a 2023 Chevy Traverse, and I use that kind of just to go back and forth. Had that for a couple months, was rolling. Was like, all right, well, if I really want to take bigger groups, let me just jump out on faith again. And I end up getting a Mercedes Sprinter van.
Okay.
So I got that Mercedes Sprinter van and really just kind of just took off from there. And just like I said, just putting my name out in different places. People started calling me, my website, and so on and so forth. And just kind of all right, like, I'm going to figure it out.
How many cars are in your fleet now?
So we've got 4 in the fleet right now.
Okay. And how many drivers do you have?
I've got about 4 drivers that work for me. Some of them still have, full-time jobs, so they work for me part-time and things of that nature, and really just trying to fine tooth, the whole game plan of what I'm trying to do. Because eventually what my goal is I want to step back from being the owner-operator to just being the owner, and basically just develop business, go out and do networking events and things of that nature. So like I said, between 5 different chambers of commerce, top of Virginia, Fauquier County, Warren County, Shenandoah County, and Page County. Also a member of the Shenandoah Wedding Professionals, Business Network International. I'm a lot of places, a lot of time.
Sure.
So, I'm still getting calls. I'm still getting a lot of business and everything, but I want to basically step back and just hire some people full time so that they can do the operating and then I can do the business development. So that's kind of where the goal is where we're trying to reach to next.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And of course, we've got a big event coming up here this weekend in the area.
Absolutely.
So, tell us a little bit about kind of what your plans are for the weekend, or how do people can, I guess, reach out to you.
Absolutely.
It's like a full weekend, week long. I mean, we're talking like days on end here.
Well, that is true.
Right?
And, honestly,
I guess I'm just starting with the wine festival because
I was here last year and the year before for Apple Blossom, and I didn't realize how big it was. I was like, because I live in Front Royal and I came to Winchester sparingly, and I didn't realize how big Apple Blossom was until I started getting around, networking with people, and they're like, no, Apple Blossom's a big thing.
It's no joke.
Okay, right? So basically what I'd like to do is, because there's so many people that will do things like get behind the wheel after they've been drinking,
right?
Which is, nobody should ever be the designated drunk driver. There's so many different people that get into accidents and things happen, right? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to provide that service so that people know that they can get around if they can't get that taxi, if they can't get that Uber, whatever the case may be. They need to schedule it with me.
Right.
You can't just call me on the fly like, hey, I found your number from, the website or whatever, and I'm just going to call you right now. I'm drunk and I got 5 of my friends. Like, yo, let's properly plan things, right? Because everybody knows when you properly plan things, they go a lot better than just trying to do it on the fly. So basically for Apple Blossom, I mean, I'm here for people. We've got 4 different vehicles and things like that, starting with the wine festival. People can call me up and say, hey, listen, I know that we're going to be drinking tonight. Can you pick us up from our house and then drop us off this place and then pick us back up later and then bring us back to our house? Because that's the goal. You can always get 5 or 6 people to meet at one particular place, but it doesn't really do any good if you go out and you go drink and then you get back in your car and you drive 2 miles down the road. Like that's not what we do.
Right.
Our goal is to make sure it's very simple, it's convenient, it's easy for you. That way, one particular stop you pick up, one particular stop you drop off, and everybody goes home. So just basically just trying to keep people safe on the road, just so they don't think about, hey, what if you're in the car and you hit somebody that's got a kid in the car? How bad would you feel?
Right.
Things of that nature. Or, a DUI is expensive. Like you lose your license, the little blow and go in your car and everything like that. So it's a really expensive thing. So people just need to be prepared, for what they're going to do in their actions. Not saying that you don't have to drink, because I'm a drinker too, but you just have to be smart about it.
Be smart.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so what's your vision for the company? I mean, this is, like you said, only 13 months in. You are rolling now. You got 4 cars in the fleet. I mean, how big do you think this thing can go?
Honestly, I think that it can go really big, because if you think about like a Chariots for Hire or a Rest and Limo company, like Rest and Limo company, that lady that owns that company is impressive. I mean, she's got 100+ vehicles in her fleet. I'm not saying that we have to get that big, but I do want to expand a little bit more and basically just let people know in the Shenandoah Valley area, all the way from here, all the way down to Harrisonburg, that, hey, this is an area there's some money here, right? There's a lot of things that are going on here. Yes, there's some farms and stuff like that, but there's some good money here. These wineries, they're not going to go away.
Nope.
They're not going away. They say Virginia's for lovers, but I think Virginia's for drinkers. So these things aren't going away. So my goal is I want to be able to try to expand the way that I need to expand with the demand, because now that that you've got more people moving out of the Northern Virginia area down to this area that are buying up property, like we just talked about earlier.
Right.
That, the inventory is short right now, and a lot of those people are buying those houses that are coming from Northern Virginia, because now that you've got the metro that's comes all the way to Dulles, people can just get in their car, drive to the metro, get on the metro, and then go up. And it's cheaper to live here than it is to live in the Northern Virginia area or DC. So with growth, the economic growth and the way that the area is growing, that's how we want to grow. We don't want to grow too fast, but we don't want to go too slow either. So basically, as this area grows, we want to grow.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, and it's not just apple blossom, but it's every season around here, because you're covering, then there's the winery kind of summer tours, and then there's fall things that are going on, then there's airport trips. I mean, you name it. You're going to be
there's
rolling.
like even Caps games or Commanders games and stuff like that. You want to go to the game, you want to go to DC, but you don't want to drive home from those games.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, something like that would be great.
You think about, all the Caps games, the Commanders games, you got Jiffy Lube, Wolf Trap, all the different sporting events. We have our US DOT number, so now we can not just go in the state of Virginia, we can go into Maryland, we can go into DC, we can go into Pennsylvania, we can go into West Virginia, we can go everywhere. Anywhere where anybody's willing to pay us to drive. So with that being said, there's a lot of other places and a lot of other companies out there that don't have those same things, but we do. We've invested a lot of money into putting those things first, so that we can make sure that we go and service all those places. Because again, who doesn't want to go up to Charlestown and go have a good time and go to the casino? When you go to the casino,
there's plenty of things to do around here.
Exactly. You want
and then somebody can't have fun because they can't, they can't drink because they got to drive back home.
I tell people all the time, nobody wants to be the designated driver, and nobody should be the designated drunk driver. That's the biggest thing right there. It's always fun to see people, drinking and everything and having a good time. But, with me, I'm on the clock, so I'm not drinking with you guys. I'll get a wine glass and I'll just put some sparkling water or ginger ale in there. Be like, oh, this is a vintage Chardonnay 2023. It's really just a ginger ale. I try to be involved and be invested with the people that I do my wine tours for, because as a full service concierge, we set up everything for you, right? From which wineries you want to go to, the routes that we're going to take. So we don't just park and just sit in the parking lot and wait for you guys to come out. No, we go in and talk to you, have a good time, get to know you, so on and so forth, and then basically talk to other people that are in the winery or the brewery or whatever the case be, to drum up more business, but also just to let people know, like, hey, there's a service out here for you.
Yeah, see, that's what I think. It's just really cool to hear your full story, to know about like where you came from, military background, you're excited about the area. There's just something to like that concierge next level kind of service, that you're not just a driver. Right. You're not just somebody who's just going to sit there and wait and then be like, all right, tell me where to go next.
Yeah, exactly.
You can take care of them too.
Yeah, we're full service. So, I mean, like I said, when you hire us and say, hey, listen, we're looking to do a winery tour for, let's just say, Mother's Day. Because it's coming up pretty soon.
That's true.
Right? Everybody wants to go out for Mother's Day and everything like that. So when you hire us, basically, we'll ask you a series of questions like, hey, do you know which wineries you want to go to? Do you like white wine? Do you like red wine? Do you like sweet wines? Do you like dry wines? Have you been to this place? Have you been to that place? So basically, I'm gathering all the information and listening attentively, with my recruiter man skills, and I'm listening attentively to find out what you're looking for so I can curate the best experience for you.
Nice.
So when I find out all those information, that's when I go into go mode. I basically start calling all the wineries, or I have good liaisons with a lot of these places, especially here in the Fauquier County, Warren County, Shenandoah County, things of that nature, because I visit them so often. So we basically curate your whole experience for you. So again, all you literally have to do is pay me, eat, drink, and be merry. So if you've got a picnic that you want to bring your food in, I bring all that stuff in for you.
Nice.
I've got your reservation set up for you. I've got your table set up for you. I've got everything done for you. So literally all you have to do is when we walk in, I say, hey, Adam is your wine ambassador for today. He's going to be pouring you a series of different wines. This is everybody in the group. And then I go park, I come inside, I talk to you guys, make sure that you're good. And then I go and talk to other people, and I keep time. I keep really good time because, we're looking at a 4 or 5 hour window. So, we got to keep good time. I handle the crazies, when they get a little drunk and they've had a little bit too much.
Nice.
I basically make sure that everybody's safe and taken care of and things of that nature, and make sure that everybody gets back to where they need to be, because everybody's got a life and everybody's got families that they want to go back to.
That's awesome. No, I love it. So that next level concierge stuff. It reminds me, because we want to hear a little bit more about you. We have 3 iconic questions that we ask our guests. So you can kind of share your knowledge here of these 3 questions. The first one, just tell us what you like about your neighborhood, your local community where you live right now.
Yeah. So what I like about my neighborhood, and I'm not just going to say my neighborhood, I'm going to say the town of Front Royal, is that it reminds me so much about where I'm from. It's a kind of a sleepy town. It's got some history behind it, but the people there are really caring. Yes, you've got your pockets of knuckleheads, but you've got your pockets of knuckleheads everywhere.
Right.
But the people there are really caring. They really care about each other. They really are trying to do a lot of different things to make that community great and better than what it has been.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing that I love about Front Royal, is the fact of, it's It's different, but it's different for a good reason.
Cool. Love it.
All right. So, what's your favorite local restaurants?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot like that. Okay, so I go to Element pretty frequently in front row. Let's see, Pavement. I go there often.
Oh, Pavement's good.
I mean, I'm a foodie, so I go everywhere. Like, there's a Thai restaurant that's on Main Street that I go to. It's called Try Thai. Not Doc's Barbecue, but Soul Mountain. I go to Soul Mountain pretty often and go talk to Howard and Chef Gary and, you know, those people over there. It's just so many different places that I love to go eat around there because, I mean, again, I drive around all the time, so I'm like, oh, I got to figure out something.
You got to figure it out.
Let me go get something to eat. Let me just stop here for a little bit.
Part of your job, right?
Absolutely.
You got to know the area.
I got to know where to suggest and tell people to go.
Exactly. Third and final question. You kind of already covered it, but what makes our area around here so special?
Oh, so what makes it special around here is the fact of, like I said, the people. There's a lot of really good people here. They're not too pretentious. You know, you can go into the Northern Virginia area and there's some people up there that have more money than God and they're just, you know, they act like they do. There's people here in this area that, you know, have more money than Jesus, but you would never know that. So they're real down home people. They care about people. They're actually willing to help you. Especially with me being in the military, you know, for the last 20 years, it's anybody that tells you 4 years, 5 years, 20 years, 30 years, that transition getting out of the military and going into the civilian world is tough. Yeah. It's tough, and you need a team of people around you to kind of help you navigate through those things. And I was one of those people that I thought I was very well prepared to get out, but I quickly learned that there's a lot of things that are different when you get out on this side. But just the people that I've met have helped me along the way. They've been there to support me when I'm happy. They've been there to support me when I'm sad, so on and so forth. And it's just been one of those things to where the people around here are caring and they're genuine. Yeah. And when you get those caring and genuine people, that makes you want to go above and beyond for everybody else.
Well, you're the man because like you're showing that caring to everybody else too. So, Absolutely. You know, it goes both ways.
It does.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks so much for being here, Dederick. Absolutely. This is really a cool learning experience for us and for our listeners because you know what? I think you've got the right model. You got the right idea.
Absolutely.
Providing that service to people, getting them around town is the way to go.
Yes, sir.
So, Dederick, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
One last final thought. Tell us how they can reach you. Where can they go to book you? What can they do? Where can they go to learn all about like what you have to offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach me on my website. It's ssmanagementgroup.biz. You can give me a call. My number is 817-301-9679. You can find me at the local Chamber of Commerce here in Winchester. You can find me at the local Chamber of Commerce in Front Royal or in Fauquier County. Better Business Bureau. I mean, if you're looking for me, it's not hard to find me.
Nice.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You know, be looking for my TikTok series, the ABCs of Virginia Wineries. Got that coming pretty soon. So if you're looking for me, just give me a call. I'm
awesome.
The guy. I'm usually the guy with the yellow shoes. So.
The yellow shoes, love it. Well, Dederick from Shenandoah Shores Management Group, I love it. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Well, that was really cool. Dederick, he's an amazing guy.
Yes, he is.
Very, I think, innovative, but motivated and driven, and is like not afraid of just jumping out there. You can tell.
No, definitely.
And just say, hey, this is my idea and vision. I'm just going to jump in and do it.
Well, and it's funny because I met him at a business networking, a BNI group. I was a guest at and talking about, of course, the Iconic Talk and the podcast.
Yeah.
And he came over and talked to me. And this was back in, I think, November or December. And then reached out again because he knew he wanted to be a part of this. Yeah. And so that was super cool. And it was great even when I got to talk with him then. I mean, just what he does. And obviously we got to hear a little bit more about that here also.
Did you learn anything from our conversation with him? I
think it's so cool how kind of detailed that he has gotten in terms of like he's trying all these different places. So when you call him and let's say a girls' weekend or there's a bunch of couples that want to go out to wineries and try a bunch of different ones, he's gonna curate it for you and set it up so it's not just a ride.
That's the next level stuff.
Yes, that is what I think is so cool. And I think a lot of people here would really be able to take advantage of that and enjoy it because nobody wants to have to be the one that doesn't get to enjoy all those things, especially if you're going to a winery tour, everybody should be partaking on some level.
Yeah, exactly.
And then this way you're going to get the best service from him. He's now familiar with a lot of the places around here and has relationships with those wineries and with different restaurants he was talking about too. So, I mean, I believe him. I believe he knows his stuff, and I definitely want to try to plan something to take advantage of it.
What I learned is he will bring the fun.
Yes.
Like, I mean, when he's saying, I will go in there with you and I will help have a good time and I will make sure that I handle the people who have a little too much. And I mean, he will bring the fun and make that an entertaining day.
I love the libation stations.
We have to document some of his quotes there. You know,
that one in Virginia's not just for lovers, Virginia's for drinkers.
Well, we've known that because every single week when we talk about our local events, there is something going on around town. Doesn't matter what month it is, what time of the year, what's coming up this coming weekend, because I think this will ring true, right?
Well, we'll have to see on this one.
I don't think, maybe not this weekend. You know, we're holding out for apple blossom.
Everybody's
How about
waiting.
That?
They're keeping their
It's a dry
livers
weekend
just,
in Winchester.
It's a dry weekend.
There you go.
There is the 55th anniversary of the Concern Hotline. It's going to be $55. It's actually tonight from 5:30 to 9 at the Fox Meadow Barn.
Cool.
The Low Water Bridge Band. There's going to be hors d'oeuvres and, well, it's funny, libations included with tickets.
There you go.
There's that word
again. You got the drinks.
And there is a drive-through dinner the Saturday from 3 to 6 at the Gainsborough Fire and Rescue. It's $16. You get half a chicken, some pulled pork, macaroni and cheese, and some sides, and dessert too. So those are always kind of neat. If you don't really want to go out to dinner, you don't want to get takeout, you just drive through, grab it, and head on home. And then there's also James Wood High School's FFA is doing a farm to table dinner and a live auction. That's going to be Saturday as well from 4:30. At 4:30, it's $12. There's pot roast with potatoes and carrots, salad, green beans, applesauce, and dessert. So
this is a food kind of weekend.
Apparently, people are getting their bellies full and they're getting ready for what's coming to Winchester.
Getting ready, coming up soon. Yep. Well, I love it. Well, next weekend we'll be talking all about the apple blossom season with our events and just share those events again with you. Get ready. There's a lot of stuff going on. So thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Iconic Talk. We hoped you learned something from today's episode and look forward to sharing more with you next week. Remember, when you look for a real estate professional, make sure they are experienced, innovative, personal, dedicated, and available.
We appreciate you spending some of your valuable time with us, and we'd love it if you'd take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can tell them that we can be found on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast.
Of course, wherever you get them. So thanks to our editor extraordinaire, Semyon Battaglia. Until next time, think iconic.